Sometimes the largest problems have crept up slowly over time and you don't even know that they're there. As a company, our goal is to maximize your time in bow hunting. And this is far larger than just coming out with a new product. This is giving control back to you as a bow hunter so that you can spend time on what matters.
As bow hunters, it is very, very frustrating when you have to sift through so much chaos, so much randomness in the market to figure out what actually is the best thing, the best product to just get the job done.
It was such a huge task to solve all of these problems at once. We had to find a partner. You're looking to get an arrow built, and it's not as linear as just going from nock to point, right? Generally, you got to start with the shaft. What shaft am I buying? 4 mil, 5 mil? Am I buying this carbon or that carbon?
An outsert or an insert.
What weight is the outsert?
Then you have fletchings.
Does it come with a field point?
And then you have a wrap.
Depending on if you picked 4 mil or 5 mil, your nocks and back end componentry.
Then you got bushing, no bushing, lighted nock, not a lighted nock.
Or if I have these certain broadheads, do I have practiced hits?
50 grain, 25 grain, 75 grain, 90 grains in the front.
And if you chose the incorrect shaft, you may realize 6 months down the road that, well, there's not a great lighted nock that I can use. And it's just really messy.
Essentially made a blank canvas. We're like, what is the ultimate hunting arrow and how can we make it?
The system that is UV1K is the future of arrows. Once we got to the drawing board with Victory and we really started talking to them about what problems we wanted to solve, it was pretty clear that they had an unbelievable amount of resources that we could really dive into. One of the main variables was, what type of carbon are we going to use on this shaft? We tested a couple initial carbon weaves that they had, and we very quickly kind of just cut to the chase. And we asked them, what's the best carbon weave that you have at your disposal? So what I have here are 4 different carbon shafts, and on the bottom is the 1K material, and you can see it's a lot more condensed than the others. And one of the benefits of this is it's a much, much higher strength to weight ratio, and it's a lot better of a material to work with. And as a result, that's what you get is the much straighter, much lighter, and stronger of an arrow.
I am really excited about how straight, how forgiving, and the recovery rate of the new UV1K is, especially when it comes time for shooting broadheads. Because let's face it, what is most important as a bow hunter when shooting arrows is with broadheads.
The next step of the process was, all right, well, what size arrow are we coming out with? And at first we toyed around with 4 or 5. And then we realized we actually have the option to really develop the most optimal sized arrow. And the process in coming up with our 4.5 millimeter size was, how small can we get on the diameter while ensuring the durability of the components is as high as you can get?
4.5 millimeter is truly in a class of its own. There's no other 4.5 millimeter on the market. And what we wanted to do was kind of create the best specs that come from a 5 millimeter and the best specs that come from a 4 millimeter, meet in the middle and offer the best of both worlds. We have a great GPI, but we still have a very super small diameter arrow that's going to cut through the wind and have really good penetration.
Once we realized we were going to use this 1K material on an arrow shaft that was 4.5 millimeters in diameter and was already outperforming anything that we put it up against, we're like, how can we add more fuel to the fire? And that's when we started working on the vane.
There's a million vanes out there and a million different variations, and it's so confusing. But with the UltraView UV1K arrow, they steer the broadheads incredibly, along with it being very, very bright white, so that you can recover your arrow and do a shot analysis and see where you hit it.
Really what makes this stand out is, one, it's injection molded, so you're getting superior quality out of every single vane. And 2, it's debossed, or when you feel it, it's actually indented. So for the same amount of surface area,
you're getting a much lighter vein. There's a lot less material in this than standard.
You could spend hours doing research, calling your buddies to find the best in class components and shafts to piece together an arrow for you, but that still does not solve the fundamental problem. You can go build an arrow and there can be 6 or 7 different parts to this arrow and not a single one was designed to work with the other. Imagine if you had to build your bow from the ground up and you had to select the riser from one company and go find strings from another company and cams from another company and limbs from another company. It's not going to work great as a hodgepodge system, right? One of the unique things we were able to do is look at the whole arrow as the product. Every single part was designed to work together.
We kind of, as a joke, we say, do you want to be known as a good arrow builder or do you want to be known as a good bow hunter? And whatever you spend your most time doing is what you're going to get better at. So I would much rather be a better bow hunter.
Now ask yourself this: if there's a solution out there that allows you to be a better bow hunter, why would you not choose it?